So just put your hand up and let me know if you got a question you want to ask, and in that way, we'll let them answer it to you as well. They got your own already, y'all?
Nope.
I don't hear.
Yeah. I hear something. Baba Booey.
So once again, y'all give them a round of applause.
How much does two cost?
$99.99.
Right.
And it's machine
Cash is king.
Yes. So thank you all for coming here and being guests on this panel today. I'm sure y'all are ready to ask some questions, right?
Yeah.
Who wants to start? First?
Who are we?
I guess we'll just go around and let you introduce yourselves first. We'll do that part. I know I always said your names, but let's just have you down.
Hi, I'm Megan.
Hi, Megan.
Who am I? I played the original Nurse Joy in Pokemon, the original Mai Valenting in Yu-Gi-Oh!, Rangiku in Bleach, Shizune in Naruto, and a bunch of other fun stuff. I've been super lucky to play a lot of strong female characters and some little boys as well. Life was good, and I get to work with these crazy guys. Yay.
These super cool guys? That was cute. Hi, I'm Wayne Grayson. I do the voice of Joey Wheeler, which is all anybody really cares about right now. You don't need to hear my resume. Joey is my
Is that a dig?
What's that?
Is that a dig?
That was a dig at you. I've been told, I don't know if it's true, that I've been the only actor that's been in all 7 versions of Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't know if I'm the only, I know I have been. I think Mark may be up there with me. I played Cyrus in GX, I played a guy named Bolt Tanner in 5Ds, and in the current Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s, the 7th version of the show, which shows you the imagination they use in titling things, I'm playing a character called Seat Bastion, who's an AI robot massage chair, because that's where Yu-Gi-Oh! Is now.
Oh my.
It's almost like
I didn't realize
Yu-Gi-Oh!
that was a product that that Konami was now putting out. Okay. I'm Eric Stuart. In Yu-Gi-Oh! I am Seto Kaiba. I also directed Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm also Bastion in GX. And I'm in 7s too, that's something once. But I haven't been in all 7 of the incarnations, maybe 4. I'm also the OG Brock and James from Pokemon, as well as the Pokedex and Squirtle and Gallery from Slayers if you're really old, and many other things. So there you go. So now you can ask us questions and know who you're asking.
Got a question back here in the back?
Yes.
This question is for Mai. Unfortunately, Mai lost a lot of duels because the plot said she had to, even though she didn't deserve to. Of all of those, which one do you think is the most undeserved?
I'm having a hard time hearing through this sound system.
Because the plot dictated it, unfortunately, Mai lost a lot of duels, even though she should have.
Mai lost a lot of what?
Duels.
Duels.
That thing that we do with the cards,
The cards are laid down in the
So,
monsters.
of all the ones
yell the name of it and throw it at each other.
she arguably deserved to win all of them, but of all the ones she was robbed of, which one do you wish she really won?
Oh, that's a tough one. Obviously, I wish I'd won all of them. Something went wrong.
Doing the voice on purpose?
No.
Oh, okay, you do it.
It's just-
on.
It just comes out.
Are we allowed in the strike? Continue.
Thank you. I don't know if I have one in particular. Of course, I'm always proud to beat Joey.
He's right here. No comment.
I don't know. Mine's just like a tough broad who wants to win everything. Thank you for that. That's a good question. I haven't had that one before.
We got 2 questions here.
2. Press 1.
All right. So, how have the voiceovers changed from like the late '90s to now? Like, how's the process? And also, what type of like Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh card decks y'all have?
So
Or if you collect it all?
So you want to know how it's changed in terms of like, so, you know, two ways that we do dubbing, obviously, or do voice work with the cartoons. Either we dub, we match lip flap to animations already done ahead of time, right? Or we do prelay, where we record the voices first and let the animators draw to us, which is the way that most of us prefer, so that we can just act and not act and also have to be technical, right? I will say the biggest change that I've felt in the terms of the business is now everybody and their cousin wants to be a voice actor, which is fine. Back in the day, it was like, oh, I don't want to do cartoons. You know, it's beneath me. I'm an actor. But now it's like, wait, I want to be in that thing. I do think that now a lot of celebrities get cast in movies because they are famous, and not necessarily because it's the best voice for the role, which is okay. But I never wanted to know who was doing the voice of a character when I was a kid. Bugs Bunny was Bugs Bunny. Only later on did I realize, you know, who's the voice behind it. I don't want to be watching a movie and go, oh, it's so-and-so. It takes me out of the realm of the imagination. And then the second part of what's changed is I think post-COVID, so many of us have had to work remotely, where in the beginning people didn't want to give you that freedom to, no, you got to be here in this city and in this studio and whatever. And then when you had to work remotely, okay, like you've been saying for years, we can work remotely with you and still get the job done faster and cheaper and better. Okay, so I think that it's proven the point that, yeah, it doesn't matter where you are, it just matters whether you have internet and a good microphone. So, yeah. And I don't play the game, but I can still beat you.
Well said.
There's also been a shift toward more naturalistic sounding characters. Not in every show, but 90% of the auditions I get say not cartoony, meaning that, or they'll say a more film-like performance. So that's new. Even in the latest Pokemon version, the Pokemon are less likely to say their own name, or they say their own name, but then they're supposed to make animal sounds as well.
I remember there was.
So it's just part of that trend toward more naturalistic things.
There's something about the recent Pokemon auditions where it's like, they said, yeah, you say only use the Pokemon's name, and then run the gamut of emojis with 2 syllables, and just come up like, I don't know what I forget the names were. Let's say it was like Blee-Blah. Like, Blee-Blah. Blee-Blah. And they want to...
That's excellent. You're cast.
I did get cast. I'm Blee-Blah.
But you know why we used the names in the beginning?
No, you guys...
Was to teach you the names of the Pokemon.
That makes sense.
That's why they didn't bark and they didn't squeak. They said the names only so that for the 150 that were there, every kid that played watched the show or played the game could tell you every version of Pokemon.
That makes sense.
That's why they did that.
Yeah.
That's why we did it.
It was educational.
Right. That's the
We're all learning.
Well, wait, so they do it in Japan though too.
No, they say their names. They didn't bark. Yeah, we mimicked what they did.
Yeah.
But now they bark and chirp, and we didn't do that. So there you go. But now Wayne can answer the question.
Well,
we overstepped. We were all over
saying,
it.
like with the emotion thing, they saying the 2-syllable names of a character while yelling or being angry, that's kind of easy, but conveying inner torment about your angst about your mom, like in Bleep-Blop, how am I supposed to make that natural?
Come on, acting. Have you tried acting?
Bleep-Blop.
I'm sure many of these fans have watched the incredible episode of the Squirtle Squad, right? Okay, so I'm all of those Squirtles. They all just have different registers, and the entire script was Squirtle's angry, Squirtle's sad, whatever, and all I had to use was the word Squirtle. So those syllables, that was the entire script. A fantastic...
Not cartoony.
No, not cartoony. Yes, anyway, there you go. Hopefully that didn't answer any of the questions.
Sweet dance around that question. I think some words would apply.
And scene.
Got a question here?
Howdy.
Hey.
When Yu-Gi-Oh came from Japan to the United States, 4Kids is known for censoring a lot of their stuff visually.
Right.
Looking back at it now from your own perspective, do you believe that they could have gotten away with having some things uncensored? Like, oh, they could have shown this thing or something. Or do you agree completely with all the censorship that they showed?
Are you ready to be educated? So 4Kids did not censor the shows. The BS&P for both networks, Fox and WB, have people that work for their companies that review every episode, every script, and decide what can be aired on Saturday morning cartoons on their networks based on the laws of the land and what you can broadcast during those hours that children watch television. So everything that was changed was cut out by the BSMP. When we had to change cigarettes to lollipops, we had to change guns in Pokemon to fingers. All of that is from the BSMP. Now, in defense of all of that, I will say I think it was a great idea, because back when I was a kid, anime was on the back shelf of Blockbuster with 3 other titles if you wanted to watch anime. Pokemon changed anime. It made it universal. It made it accessible to everyone. Most kids watching it grew up thinking it was from their country, that it wasn't a Japanese dub. And because of those changes, we have events like this. So I will defend those changes that we did, though there were shows that were brought in. I was a senior voice director there for years. I'm only saying this because I knew what was going on behind the scenes. There were shows that were brought to us where I would say, One Piece, I would say, why are we doing this show instead of releasing it on cable? There's no reason we should do this show. We cannot cut the things out that are going to be asked of us and still maintain any sort of storyline. Oh, Eric, you don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. Tell me, can you follow those shows? Now, the actors did a great job, but I have no idea what's going on because so much of the violence had to be removed from that. But not in Pokemon. The little things, or Yu-Gi-Oh!, the little things that were removed, to me, made it more family-friendly and made it more accessible to a larger audience.
Excellently put.
Yeah, well done.
I didn't know about the
Yeah, that's who did that, yep.
Over here to your right.
This question is for Kaiba. What was it like being a third-rate duelist?
What about being a third-rate duelist with a fourth-rate tech? What are you asking me?
What was it like being a third-rate duelist?
Oh, no. I say that. I am not that.
You finished third, did you?
The whole can of worms over there, buddy.
The only reason I finished third is because I don't know if you've watched the show, but Yugi seems to pull cards out of places we won't talk about.
Literally and figuratively.
No, they're just better than yours.
Wow. Spicy.
Yep, got it down here. There's some questions. And we got 2.
This is for all 3 of you. How did you find the voices for those characters?
For Mai Valenting, from my experience was, for one, just looking at her. I mean, I connected with her right away. I was like, oh my goodness. She just looked a certain way to me, and I just instantly resonated with her. They described her, they're like, she's a teenager, but she didn't look like a teenager to me.
No.
So, there's always, when we go in for auditions, there's always a director, well, not anymore, but there was always a director helping to shape what we were doing. So we would throw out stuff and the director would say, younger, older, funnier. So I definitely would have had help, but I don't think they changed it much. It was just one of those things that clicked for me. Now, in other roles I've had, that doesn't happen so naturally. It takes a lot of shaping and whittling, and then I have to be reminded each session what I sounded like to get back in the groove. But she was one that just was right there.
Okay, well, no, I've told this story many times. Don't stop if you've heard it, because not all of you have heard this. When I went in to read for Joey, they said in the breakdowns that Joey was from in the streets. And at the time, in the streets meant New York, and New York meant Brooklyn, and I was living in Brooklyn at the time. And I'm going to out myself here. That accent is pretty much the accent I spoke for 18 years of my life. That was my real voice. I shook the accent on purpose to be more castable as a classically trained actor. And my first big job out of college, when I was being all serious as an actor, was being the voice of Joey. And it's a combination of my natural accent and my brother's real voice. My brother, who I grew up with in New York, now lives in South Carolina and still talks that way. He says, like, come on, y'all, let's go to Walmart. You're going to say y'all in that voice? All right.
And Wayne is a fantastic stage actor, a Shakespearean as well. So, I mean, just to give you an idea of the range of what we do, you know, we might be known as, oh, that's the guy that does that voice or whatever, but nobody even talked about Ultimate Muscle yet. But I got to direct that ridiculous wrestling show, and Wayne was my go-to for every, like, any accent I needed for any of the random crazy things. He probably played some like 30 different characters on that show for me. So
There was an episode where I'm wrestling myself and coaching myself.
yeah,
It's Ricardo Braca Jr. and Jaeger.
yeah,
So it's like a Brazilian guy, an Austrian guy, and a German guy.
yeah. And the Austrian and the German
They talk to each other.
Yeah, yeah, and the subtleties of that. So just to give you an idea of the range, so yes, so even though he might have grown up with that voice, there's many more voices that are in that crazy head, yes. So you want to know where we came up with, like with Kaiba? Kaiba was not a vocal choice. Kaiba was an attitude choice. I was actually hired by 4Kids to direct Yu-Gi-Oh! Before Kaiba had been cast. And I had been working on Pokemon as Brock and James, and also directing myself on the show, as well as some of the other actors. So they were like, oh, you can do this, come on in and direct this new show. And I looked at it, and I called it Pokemon 90210, because it definitely was. And I said, oh, this is great. They're like, yeah, we've got some of these characters already like cast, it's great, but we haven't cast the sort of the main rival, the main villain, this guy Kaiba. I was like, okay, great. Well, since I had just been hired as the director, I didn't want to go, you know who would play this really well? Hey! So I didn't want to double dip. So I said, all right, let's do some casting. And I brought in a lot of the guys that I knew for in this little arena of ours, and kept bringing in different people, all very talented people. And the main producer, who has the final say, would listen to the casting and say, nope, not quite hearing what I'm looking for. No, I like the voice, but no, that's really not that's not the attitude, the whole thing. This is going on for a long time. And also, while we're doing this, we're promoting coming soon, Yu-Gi-Oh! And I would say, well, not if we don't cast Kaiba, because he's in the first episode. So we're working and we're casting, and after, I don't know, the third round of casting, the producer walks out of the room, and I'm in there with one of our favorite engineers, Joe Vegas Shalik. We called him Vegas. And Vegas turns around. He says, Eric, why don't you audition for this? And I said, because I'm directing the show. He goes, yeah, but I think you probably could do this. And I said, I probably could, but I don't know. He said, all right, I just think you should. So then the producer comes back in. I said, hey, I got an idea. We're kind of running out of options here. I think I can play this character the way that you want. I know you only know me as the new director that's been hired here, but I do voices, some. Let me read Kaiba halfway through the show. I'll do one half of the episode. If you hate it, we'll go back to casting. If you like it, we'll be halfway done to when the show actually airs. And he's like, all right. So I dub it, comes in, and he said, yeah, this is exactly what I've been looking for. Thank you very much. Walks out. Vegas turns around to me and goes, you couldn't have done this like 3 months ago when we started this project so that maybe we could have a lunch break? And I was like, so it wasn't, I know it's a long story, but it wasn't so much about the character voice I was coming up with. And I do a lot of characters, that's great. But to me, that's the whipped cream on the whatever, right? If there's no acting behind it, I understood Kaiba's dynamic. He's not a villain, as originally said. He's a rival. My job is to push the lead guy to have to do his thing. Without me, he has no incentive. And you go back to the nerdy Egyptian story arc, you see that I'm not even his rival. I'm his sparring partner. I'm his lieutenant. So that personality had to reflect in high school. So I got it. So there's your long answer for my Kaiba voice.
Got a question right here.
Sorry. And scene. Where's Cash Money? Oh, he's sitting down.
I just wanted your opinions on, in your opinion, for each of your characters in the Battle City arc, how do you think each of your characters would have felt had Joey actually managed to defeat Merrick and win the Winged Dragon of Ra?
I'm guessing Joey would be pleased.
Yeah. Defeating Merrick? Heck yeah.
I mean, I don't know who I despise more, Marek or Joey. So
Hey.
I think I would probably be happy for Marek's loss.
There you go.
Okay, Middle.
Thank you.
So I have two questions. The first one has to do with Dan and Eric. You said that you were the voice director. When they would do the Yu-Gi-Oh turning into the Pharaoh thing, and they would go Yu-Gi-Oh, and his voice would drop. Was that actually Dan, or did you do some kind of?
Oh, on our main theme, we probably processed him a little bit, but Dan, you know, we took a lot of time because we had too many cooks trying to figure out how to find the right upper register for Yugi and the lower register for Atem or Yugi or Yami, whatever you want to call him, the Pharaoh, and like making him jump through hoops. And I give him a lot of credit because if you listen to maybe the first 5 or 6 episodes, we're still finding that.
Right.
But he can do it. He can switch back and forth, which is pretty incredible. Where his natural voice is more like the Pharaoh.
Yeah.
But in the opening song, I think he said it, and then they manipulated it.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And then this is for Megan and Wayne. Where do you guys think Mai and Joey were once the show ended? What do you think happened to the two of them?
I think we have different answers to this.
We do. I think Mai was I think Mai would be too afraid to commit. I think she would have gone on playing Joey for years and years.
I got the romantic streak. I think eventually they wind up together. They have to. That's the way it is.
Like the other Harry Potter.
At the end of Harry Potter, 20 years later.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of like King of Queens meets Green Acres. That's what I thought. If the Green Acres was actually done in Queens,
Darling, I love you, but give me Park Avenue.
yeah. Times Square.
Oh my goodness.
We've just come up with the next TikTok video.
You're my wife. Come on,
Joey and Mai do Green Acres. Green Acres, we are there. Oh yeah.
Back over here to your right.
Yep. Sorry, we were entertaining. I gotta follow that.
Hi,
We obviously don't get along.
question. So when you guys are doing the voices, right? Because I watch Yu-Gi-Oh! And with that being said, when they do that arm movement, right? Like especially with the disc and everything.
Yep.
Do you guys have to do that while you're doing the voice?
You should see the outfit I wear in the booth.
We have pictures.
All right, that's something to look forward to. Also, I just want one comment. It's for Seto. I just want to say that first episode when you dueled Yugi, I still think you won that. He pulled out that last piece of Exodia out of nowhere. The chances are slim to none.
I say it all the time that he cheats. All the time.
Question here.
First, before I ask my question, on behalf of me and everyone else here who loves Yu-Gi-Oh!, thank you for voicing the characters that we know and love.
Thank you.
And then a question for Mr. Stewart. Would you please say I summon Blue Eyes White Dragon, please?
I summon my Blue Eyes White Dragon.
Thank you.
How can we do?
Chills. You know what? I want to say, just regards like what we're doing in the booth, in addition to doing our voices, we don't have props and costumes, but we do use our bodies. Like if we see our characters running on the screen in the animation, we do have to like use our bodies to create the right sound. It's not, voice acting isn't just here, it's everywhere to create it, and sound actually resonates in our bones, you know, so there's a lot more than just standing at a mic talking like this.
And if you're ethnic and grew up in New York City, you speak with your hands a lot. So there's a lot of this going on in the booth when I'm acting. A lot of it.
Over here to your left, y'all. To your left, lady.
Okay, I'm gonna try not to cry, but I did want to thank you guys for everything you've done. I got into Yu-Gi-Oh! Super late, like I was in high school, but I was suicidal, cutting myself in Yu-Gi-Oh! Got me through a lot. And I even named my cat Mokuba. But I did want to ask, what are all of your thoughts on the Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged series?
Oh, well, first of all, I just want to say, thank you for sharing that with us, and I am flattered that you think of our performances as something that helped you through, but you got yourself through that, so you should take the credit for that, not us. But I'm flattered that you included us in that. Okay? So, Abridged, I'm a huge fan of parody. I think it's great, right? And I know Lil Karibo well. He's a good guy. My problem is that I work for Konami. They're my boss. And they don't like when people monetize their art. It's like Saturday Night Live can make fun of Burger King, right? During the show. But if in their gift shop they're selling the Burger King logo with that joke to make profit on a t-shirt, then Burger King would sue them. Because you can't sue someone for parody, right? Satire is okay. He just needs to either do his own fan art, or he's so talented, do something original. Like, I just feel like, how many of you guys write? How many are creative writers here? Nobody? Nobody writes? Okay. How many people draw? Right? How about musicians? Any musicians here? You have like 10 production teams right here. You guys all love the same kind of stuff. You're at a convention. You should be talking to each other to create original content. Because now the technology is so available, why wouldn't you do that? So yes, I think that stuff is funny, and I think that it brought a lot of people to the fandom who had never watched the real show, but I think Martin should do his own thing because he's a very talented guy. There's my take on that.
Yeah, totally. It's not my thing, but watch what you want to watch, like what you like. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen the Abridged. I'm glad people are enjoying it, but I'm more interested in all of you as the audience and being a part of this phenomenon that's Yu-Gi-Oh! As when we're doing stage work, we get to be with the audience in the moment and feel what's going on. It's a vibe. But doing voiceover work, there's often just one person in a booth, and the director and an engineer, if we're lucky, and we're in the same room. And it's only at events like this that we get to meet you and hear the amazing stories that this art that we're a small part of has affected people. It's humbling and it's thrilling.
Got some questions right here in the front for you.
You didn't realize you had a question, did you?
I did. I didn't realize where he come from.
He's a ninja.
So my question is for the Godfather of Games.
Very good.
How challenging was it to keep up with the rules as you went through the different series of Yu-Gi-Oh?
You guys about the rules of the game?
Yes.
I'm going to break some hearts here. I don't have clue one how to play this game. I have no idea. They changed the rules according to what the story, what serves the story best. And here's an anecdote I'd like to tell too, is that when we first started working on Yu-Gi-Oh!, Dan and I were asked by production to do a CD-ROM. That's how long ago this was. Anybody know what a CD-ROM is? Okay, yeah, okay. Well, maybe it's not that old. But they asked us to come in and do a CD-ROM of Joey and Yugi explaining the rules of the game to the audience. And Dan and I just hit it off. We became really good friends really quickly, and we were bonding and hanging out. You know what? We should just do this. It sounds good. It's a 4-hour gig. It'll be quick. If anything, like the best thing that'll happen is we learn how to play the game. It'll inform our characters. It'll inform the show. It'll be a better performance. 4 hours later, we came out more confused than ever. And we were doing it like, hey, you gotta do this. Well, I don't know, Joey, if we do this, yeah, we'll do that. And then 4 hours of that. And we took a break going, do you know what you're saying? No. Well, there we go. Time well spent.
Yeah, we had no. I mean, I directed the show, and I'm telling these people, okay, and this, and every once in a while I go, wait a second, is that a trap card? I don't think so. And then we call the expert at our studio, Sam. Sam, I got to double check something with you. I don't know why I'm double checking something with you. I don't know why this caught my attention, since I have no idea how to play the game. But yeah, no, we had no idea, and they didn't. Obviously, the TV version has no idea either.
made an attempt at learning it, and that it didn't go well. Too challenging for me, but I kind of knew in the show. You know, you would see their faces and be like, ooh.
That's what happened to when you do like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I knew what the harpies did, and I knew what the harpy things that happened. I certainly didn't know what you guys did.
But there's a cool thing too when we used to do the live duels and we go to tournaments. Yep. And they give us the script ahead of time, and we look at it, we read it, so we know what we're saying. We don't just stumble over words. But we don't know the rules of the game, so we'd be there. Talk about live theater. We're doing the duel live, and I would read the script, and in rehearsal, we read it once before. We call that rehearsal. There was no reaction because we just three of us sitting in the room reading it out loud. I would say like, I'm gonna play this card, and the audience to a man would be like, oh. And I know that Joey messed up. And I'm like, thank you. I'm gonna lose this, aren't I? What a surprise.
We did a duel together. Yeah. I think you and Tristan dueled me at the same time.
That's right, yeah.
And what's your goat thing, or your what's the card you play? Scapegoat. So you're like, scapegoat, and he plays it, and of course it's so funny. I think it's like going to be a joke moment, but everyone in the audience was like, oh, and I'm like, that's a good card?
Was that a good card?
We were all like shocked.
All right. I think, you know, we're acting.
Yeah, we were like,
our job is acting.
oh.
How do we react to this? Okay, so now I'm going to read this line differently because in rehearsal I was like, I got you. Now it's like, no, you got me. Okay. What? Okay. The tables have turned.
Got another question over here.
Yeah.
Hey, Mary.
I have a question for all three of you. What made you fall in love with voice acting?
You're assuming we're in love with voice acting.
I mean...
No, I enjoy it quite a bit. It's a great job, and there are way harder ways to earn a living. I talk about how when I was a kid in the 70s growing up watching cartoons, and I would do the voices along with the shows I was watching, and I would do impressions of the characters I was watching. We're not here to talk about turtles, but when I was a kid, I got the black and white comic book of the Ninja Turtle when it first came out for free from Eastman and Larry. And then I immediately was like, oh, I love Michelangelo, what a great character. And then years later, I wound up playing the part. So that's kind of a dream fulfilled. And I mean, it's like a weird kind of arc my life took. You said earlier on, and Eric backed me up, I'm a Shakespearean actor. That's my passion. But like, voice acting is still acting. You're still creating a character. You're still developing a relationship with other actors. It's I am in love with voice acting. Whoa!
Yeah, it is. It's still acting, and acting is awesome. It feels amazing. And in voice acting, actually, especially anime, when you're acting and trying to match what's going on with the character's mouth, and often doing a different voice, it's like there's so much going on that it takes you to another place, and just it's almost like it's different, but it's like meditation where you're in a different zone, and that's kind of magical.
I was definitely an angry young man and a new kid at school a lot of times, and I used humor to make new friends. So, I could do voices, and I was funny. That was my defense mechanism a lot, so that, I was little, and I also fought all the time, so to keep the bullies away from me too, even though none of them you never fight the little kid, because he's always the crazy one, all right? But anyway, I used comedy as a defense mechanism, and later on when I was working in a recording studio, I really was pursuing music. Music is really my passion, and I wanted to do something that I could use the same tool, singing, right, same instrument, but also not be recognized, so that when I was on stage playing music, you weren't like, oh, it's the Tidy Mole man singing oh so sensitive love songs. So that was really why it made sense to me as a professional choice. But now I can't really imagine anything else that I would rather do to make a living. I have a studio, and I get to I can play anything I can sound like, which to me is fantasy world. So that's great, and this is a bonus. This was not, hey, be a voice actor and you're going to meet, fans at conventions and hang out with cool people. No, it's like, this is a job, and you're acting, and this is what you do in a booth, mostly by yourself. So having all of this, yeah, I'm in love with the job, but yeah, and the fact that you like what we do too, that means a lot. That's very flattering and humbling. Thank you.
I have another thing. Can I get a Squirtle for my husband?
Squirt, squirt, squirt. And also, the water gun attack was me.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Squirtle does the water gun attack.
So most of the time, the sound effects in the show were lifted, but I would go, and I was the water gun attack.
That's not easy.
No, it's not. Thank you. Thank you. I'm an actor.
We got time for like 2 more questions.
2 more.
Oh, wait.
No pressure, make them good.
New stuff. Deep cuts.
Hey, Eric.
Hello.
So, you're saying how much you love music and you have your band, the Eric Stuart Band.
Yes, great.
Did you have any control whatsoever in music for Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Pokemon whatsoever?
It took me a long time to convince the music department to let me do anything original with them. Because a lot of the money that's made in those companies is from publishing and songwriting royalties by using the same music in the American version. Anytime we licensed the show to other countries, they had to use our music. They could recast the voices in the the language that they speak, but they had to use 4Kids music, which made a ton of revenue for the company. So to get your own stuff in there was tricky. Of course, I sang songs as Brock, Two Perfect Girls. I didn't write that. Double Trouble, I did that. But I did write the Pokemon Christmas Bash theme. I did do that. And on the Yu-Gi-Oh! Soundtrack, Time to Duel. That is the coolest song we did. It's somewhere between Led Zeppelin meets, I don't know, I rap it. But I needed to rap the pieces of the Millennium Puzzle. They had not been revealed yet in the show. So I went to Sam and I said, I need to know all the pieces of it. And he goes, I can't tell you that. It hasn't been disclosed yet. I said, I need to for the song. So I did it. We wrote this amazing tune. I gotta say, it's really, you gotta check it out. Music to Duel By is the name of the album. But it was so good that they pushed the track towards the end of the album. Because everything else on there, This song, I'm telling you, you're going to Google it right after we're done with the panel and check it out. It is cool. Yeah, so I only got to do 2 or 3 of my original things. Nothing from the Eric Stuart Band.
Any other questions?
Are you all, sorry, do you all have any future projects that you would like to share that you're excited about? Maybe Crossing the Gods, Eric? Any chance to return to Yu-Gi-Oh?
So obviously we can't talk about too many things, right? Because there's a current strike going on, so we have to avoid what's current material. I will say that Dan Green and I do a podcast together. It's called The Heart of the Cards. It's a conversation about creativity, inspiration, and dealing with what you're dealt. We talk about our journey. We have people on. That's cash money. That was cash money.
How do you make that noise?
We have a lot of people on to talk about their journey. We just did an episode with a dear friend of mine, Christopher Collet, who's been in a ton of movies. You know him the minute we start talking to him. But just getting other people's perspective on their following their passion and things like that. And that's really been very satisfying. Yes, Dan and I are good friends. I hate to burst that bubble.
What a shame. It's a shame that we get along.
I'm continuing to work on Bleach, the 1,000-Year Blood War, which I absolutely love.
Can't talk about anything, man. We finished Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s, that's coming. What? This is the 20th anniversary.
20th anniversary, and you were in one of those incarnations. If they didn't know that,
yeah.
I mean, that's something that it's not current.
It's not current. I mean, yeah, if they do the special thing, I'll be in that, I hope. There's also been talk of, there's a Ninja Turtle storyline called The Last Ronin, which is actually pretty good. I started reading the comic again because of that, because Mikey plays a big role in it. And there's a video game coming out, and there's been some buzz in the fan base about getting our cast back. Should be. And I'd be down with that, because it's, I always liked, I mentioned earlier, with our voice acting, that is actual acting, and these characters progress. This is a very, very dark and progressive storyline for Mikey, and the 3 other Turtles, and Splinter. So if that comes to pass, and if enough support happens, I'd be down with that in a heartbeat.
So y'all do me a favor, give a round of applause for Eric. Give a round of applause.
Thank you very much, Cash Money. I appreciate it. We'll be at our tables if you want to come say hey.
They're also doing autographs, so you can also get a picture and autographs and take pictures with them. And come over and show some support to them. Thank y'all so much.